by the skin of my teeth, I tell you. April Marie here, filling in for Leland. He is back next week, but I have thoroughly enjoyed being here. And yay, as a special treat, keeping me out of trouble today, John Bird here. John Bird and I haven't been together in a very long
A
time.
long time.
I've been listening to you and Andrew, though.
Mhm.
And here's what's funny. So when Andrew did his big announcement, like, big news coming tomorrow, I was getting messages like, what's going on? I was like, they don't tell me these things. I said, but if I had to bet, if I had to guess, I think it's John Bird because he was happy kind of good news coming.
Yeah.
And he couldn't hold it in. He's not great at secrets.
No, he stinks at
It
secrets.
was so funny. I was like, nah, this is a good news coming back.
Yeah,
So
it's good to be back, I'll tell you that. And
yeah,
it's great working with you again. Isn't this awesome? A Friday, are you kidding?
I'm so excited. I know, Free for All Friday. That's what we do around here when I get to fill in.
Mm-hmm.
I've got national news. I've got local news. I'll tell you what I was up to today. So I'm running late. Two things. One is my sitter who's supposed to have a baby in March, probably having her baby early. If anybody here listening knows her, sorry about that. I just outed her on air. But so she was supposed to get the kids this afternoon while I do radio.
Mhm.
And so we had this whole thing planned out.
Uh-oh.
And I'll be darned if her son had different plans. And so that was an adventure getting that all straightened out.
Ugh.
But we're good. The kids are not walking home.
Take a deep breath.
Yeah, they're good. I went on a field trip this morning. It's been a minute since I've been on a field trip, but I got to go. So my daughter is homeschooled, and I got to go. I've never done this to a power plant.
Oh, man,
Have you
that's
ever been
great.
to a power
Yes,
plant?
I have, as a matter of fact. A couple of years
Seriously?
ago, I had a friend of mine work there.
It's really cool.
It really is.
I don't think we did fun field trips like that. I think we went to like parks and gardens, maybe
Yeah.
see a circus or something. I don't know. But they got to go to a power plant, and I say they got to go, and then I was like, I'm not sitting in the car. I'm going to do this too, and learned so much, like just, of how the things operate and, how they keep things online and how weather changes it. It was
And the Mercedes plant, oh my gosh, I got a friend that works there. It's incredible.
oh, do they do
That's a good.
tours too?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so you need to look
Okay,
into
I
that.
need to look into that. So yeah, I'm a part of a homeschool group and they do field trips because it's the kids' socialization and getting out and all those things. And so it was a pretty good group this morning. I'd say probably 15 to 20 of the kids, mostly high schoolers, a couple like my daughter who are in middle school. But I had a great time. It's a little bit of a hike, but we managed to make it work. I, I was looking at the news, and there's a lot going on today. We've got the Supreme Court.
Crazy.
What's going on with our Supreme Court? What in the world?
I don't know.
So looking at the Trump gives grudging praise to liberal trio who helped sink his tariffs. We'll get Trump updates. I know over at 1819 News, we've got the Alabama delegation's response to that. And so we've got mixed review coming out of Alabama. We'll get into those on the Trump tariffs. Of course, Trump says I'll have to try stronger methods to impose tariffs. We'll see what he gets up to there. So we'll keep an eye out on that. Also going to talk. I said it earlier this week. There's kind of a little bit of chaos and mayhem going on in Montgomery right now, and I think I covered a little bit of the leadership changes there, and then at the party. So we had John Wallen with us yesterday, and he stepped down from the chairmanship of the Republican Party of Alabama. And then a familiar name came out today, and that's John Merrill as one of the potential candidates. I guess he is a candidate now to lead the Republican Party of Alabama. So now we've got Joan Reynolds, who's very well known, especially in the listening area around central Alabama. She is incredibly active with the Jefferson County and the Shelby County Republicans. And then she's also did this really cool thing. It's it's called the Mighty Strike Force, but for whatever reason, When I first heard about it, I thought it was called the Mighty Mighty Strike Force, like it was a cartoon or something. And so now that's just what I call it. But they go out. Alabama is ruby red. We're not going to lose. We're not going to lose the governor's office. We're not going to lose. We had that fluke with the Senate, but by and large, we don't have ground games here for the general. Our races happen in this state in the primaries, and so Joan Reynolds, the current chairman of the party, put together the Alabama Strike Force. And what they do is they go to swing states during close elections and get out the vote for Republicans. And they've done this in, I want to say, 3 or 4 states, and they've done it for years. And it's a pretty cool thing. So that's how she's most well known, is putting together that strike force. So people around Alabama who want to see, us take a Senate seat in Georgia, or want to see us keep the governor's race in Virginia, which obviously we didn't, all of these things, that's what she's best known for. Then what used to be the majority leader down in at the Alabama House, Scott Stadhagen, he resigned his majority leader position, and he's running for chairman of the party. The election, by the way, is in March. And then, like I said earlier today, we got confirmation that John Merrill is now in the race. Now, what's interesting is it's not a ballot race. It's not like voters can do it. It's going to be you have to be a member of the state executive committee. And so, or I'm sorry, yeah, uh, state executive committee for the party, not to be confused with the steering committee. And then they get to vote. And so it'll be interesting because this is who really decides where the resources go in the state, all of our get out the vote efforts. I like to say it's not enough to win. You got to cream them. Like, we've got to make sure we get those, especially we don't have a lot of swing states in the legislature, but where we can, I want us to win with big margins. And so the Republican Party of Alabama does that. They also decide the platform and then push the legislators and lawmakers on that. So a lot that happens there. We talked about that yesterday. So we'll talk a little bit about that insider baseball going on in Montgomery, because I think it's important that we know. We'll revisit some of the reactions for Prince Andrew's arrest. And I called it. As we were on air, I was talking, I was like, hey, Trump just said he was sorry for the situation happening. I was like, the liberal left is going to lie about this, because that's what they do. They lie. And so I said, they're going to lie about this. They're going to make it sound like Trump was supporting the Andrew's activities, or possible activities, alleged activities with women. That's not what this was about. This was about Andrew leaking documents. And sure enough, if you were to have watched any news coverage last night about it, CNN, all the liberal outlets, MSNBC, all the liberal outlets, they ran with the story of, oh, Andrew was tied to this woman and the Trump president is supporting him. And I was like, this is why people don't trust the media. So we'll talk about some of those responses. I've got a couple just funny stories that we'll cover, and then of course because I cannot help it, absolutely infuriating stories as we see more and more kids go walk out with ice at school. Earlier today, an 11-year-old child with special needs was found miles away from his school because he was left behind at an anti-ice walkout. Okay? I am telling you what, every single administrator who is allowing their students to walk out, every teacher allowing their students to walk out, especially, and anyone encouraging it, they should be held responsible. They should be held responsible. Whether or not, we saw the kid get hit by the car, we saw fights, we saw property destruction, roads blocked, all of those things. Any of those things happened under an administrator's watch, or with a teacher's permission, or with even worse, teacher's encouragement, all of them lose their job. That's it. We don't need it. All right, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll get into these state and national headlines. You guys hold tight. It's Apryl Marie filling in for Leland.
I hope you got yourself a deal. But even if you didn't get to take advantage of that, their prices on a regular basis are always fair. When you go in that store, once you see the quality, the amount of furniture inside Lonnie's furniture, all the selection that you have, and then the option to customize. They'll let you order furniture. You can design your own stuff over in the Bassett workshop or in a number of ways and have it fit exactly what you want. Though chances are they've got something on the ground here in Alabama in their warehouse operation that might just be what you're looking for, even if you don't quite see it on the floor. So take some time, make the drive, get to Kimberly, Alabama, and look around. You'll see what I see. Beautiful stuff everywhere, great ideas and pricing, and some of the finest furniture people in the world. These folks love what they do. They're happy to see you, no pressure. They'll just help you out and even custom deliver it if you need it. It's LaniusFurnitureCompany.com, LAUNIUS, if you want to check them out online, LaniusFurnitureCompany.com.
The people passing by.
Good afternoon, everyone. April Marie here, filling in for Leland. John Bird trying to keep me out of trouble.
I'm doing my best. It's gonna be hard, but I'll give it a shot.
And I even got to pick my own bumper music today. 'Cause
Yes.
we all know that AJ and his God bless him music snobbedness wouldn't like some of my picks. No, all kidding aside, I've had fun with AJ this week. Here's what we need to do. We need to schedule it so that I don't know. It's no more than 2 to 3 weeks before I get to come in. So on a rotating schedule, the host have to take a day off just for me. That's what I need to
There you
happen.
go.
That's my plan. So, all right. A couple things going on, and the phone lines are open. 205-545-9950 is that number. The first thing I mentioned is the Alabama responses to the Supreme Court. And for those who don't know me well, you have to know I am a SCOTUS nerd. And it's breaking my heart that I have to wait until one of the breaks to catch up on my SCOTUS blog because there's an account, it's called, obviously called SCOTUS blog, that kind of breaks down all of the decisions. And as I was out and about on a field trip today, I didn't get to do all my reading before I came in. So I will get that update for you. But the responses, obviously, Tommy Tuberville, quite peeved. He said, I'm disappointed by the Supreme Court's decision to handcuff the president's ability to impose tariffs on countries who have been ripping us off for years. By the way, I can almost hear Tuberville's voice these days because he's so passionate about these things. 77 million Americans voted for President Trump because they knew he would negotiate fair trade deals and put American jobs and businesses first. We saw that yesterday in his trip to Georgia when the president was talking about jobs. We saw how the president was able to leverage and negotiate using those tariffs to bring jobs back, to get us better trade deals, to do all of those things. This isn't going to be the end of the president's negotiating tactics. It just changes the way he can do this one. Of course, the Democrats in the state, of which we have two. We have Terry Sewell, who represents our area, actually my representative after they redistricted, taking victory laps. Today, the Supreme Court affirmed what my Democratic colleagues and I have been arguing all along. President Trump's use of the Emergency Economic Powers Act to justify his global tariffs is illegal and unconstitutional. I read Tuberville's with this level of excitement, and I just read hers with this pouty, whiny, wah. Yeah, get over it. All right, we're going to go to the phone lines. We'll come back to the responses to the SCOTUS decision a little bit later. We've got, who's first here? Is Rick on the line? Hey, Rick, what's up?
Hey, how can we fix the rest of the world when we can't fix our own troubles over here first? But
You
I'm
said
sorry, I didn't
you
mean to
said
cut
why
you.
can't we why are we fixing the rest of the world troubles when we can't fix ours first?
something to that effect. It's close. But what I'm really getting down to is I think Trump is a slap the Republican Party in the face, and they're saying this ain't no longer the work of the government; it's the work of God. That's what I think.
How, you think? Okay, all right, Rick, I hear you. I think Trump is, and here's the thing, and I'll tell you, I've got strong feelings about our foreign policy. To me, and I've always said this when it comes to immigration and the border, is that's my reason. When liberals get all, oh, you don't care about the people. No, I care about people. I care about Americans first. And I don't mean that any other life, and Brian Dawson and I discussed this yesterday. There's no less value of a life of somebody born somewhere else. But we have a priority to take care of our own people. I was looking back, it's been over 10 years now, but I wrote an op-ed that ran on AL.com when I first moved to the state. And it was about this very issue, about refugees and how many refugees should the United States take in. And my answer to this on how we spend our resources and how we spend our time as a nation is simply when we have veterans who have the appropriate health care and they're getting what they need, when we have veterans mental health services, we have veterans medical services, when we have children in our aging out of our foster care system who have all of the support services they need, when we have education systems that are working for our children and we have no literacy problems, when we have all of our problems solved, okay, for everyone who lives here and is truly in need. I'm not talking about the able-bodied willing to not wanting to work who are on social services. That's a whole different can of worms. But I'm talking about people who genuinely need help. Our seniors, our disabled, our children. When all of our crises, our veterans, when all of those crises are solved, then we can deal with letting who comes in and comes over the border. That's why I'm so adamant we have to kick people out. Like, oh, you broke the law? No, you go. Oh, but don't you have sympathy? I have a lot of sympathy. I sympathize, and I sympathize with them all their way home while we're solving the problems we have here. And once those are addressed, then we can handle the others. As for the peace gathering and summit that was yesterday, I truly feel that that it is important that we stay. Now, I'm not going to go all neocon on you and talk about U.S. involvement in other places, but I will say that Trump is right. There is strength in force. We have seen that. America leading. You look at what Marco Rubio has done. You look what Trump has been able to do in the Middle East. There is strength in us being strong, in a Hegseth type Department of War, in a prioritizing peace. We are stronger and better as a country when we have a president who does that. Because you look at what happened under Joe Biden's watch, and it was an ever-loving international nightmare. And part of the reason was they knew that Joe Biden would do nothing, would do nothing. One of the things that Trump said and reiterated a lot on the campaign trail, and he didn't get things to cease day one. There was no Russia-Ukraine peace deal on day one or Israel Hamas deal on day one. But he darn sure got closer than Biden ever did or ever would, because people did not take him seriously. Biden did not take Biden seriously. So thank you for your call. We lost a caller there because I got on. I had to answer that question or that respond to that comment because it just ticked me off. I think it's important. I don't think Trump is. I don't think Trump has broken his campaign promises. I don't think Trump is meddling where he doesn't need to be meddling. There have been times when I've worried he was going to meddle where he didn't need to be meddling. But all in all, I've been very impressed with what not just Trump, but Trump's administration, namely Rubio and J.D. Vance and some of these others, Hegseth, what they have been able to do internationally. And I think that there is a level of respect that we have now that we very, very clearly lost for years under Biden. And now people are like, okay, we get it. We're not going to mess with them. People were very hesitant about what happened with the Venezuelan dictator. And now they're like, okay, we can see we're making that work. It looks like Trump's administration is talking to Cuba. Well, this has been a Marco Rubio priority forever. Marco Rubio is from Miami. Marco Rubio is Cuban American. He runs in those circles. When he was in the Florida legislature, this has been a really big issue. I think Trump is going to end up looking back. There will be a lot of things Trump accomplishes, and one of them will be what he's been able to accomplish internationally. And I think that's a big deal. All right. I was going to that response. Ugh, I looked up at the TV. Squirrel. Day 20 in the search for Nancy Guthrie. It's continuing. Haven't seen any news on that front today. But going back as where I started with these tariffs, why did Trump do that? He wasn't just meddling. It wasn't about just foreign countries. It was about Americans, American jobs, American prices, the prices we're paying here. All of these things. Trump may be a lot of things. People can talk about his personality. People can talk about his priorities, but he has always said America first was his agenda. And although this is going to be a roadblock to this Supreme Court decision, will be a roadblock to what he wants to accomplish, it's not going to stop it. And other countries know this. And so I think they'll find a way forward. All right, looking back at some of these responses, former U.S. Rep. Jerry Carl, who is running back for the same seat that he lost to Barry Moore running for Senate, he said he strongly opposes it, the Supreme Court striking down President Trump's use of tariffs. President Trump used tariffs to put America first, protecting our workers, rebuilding our manufacturing base, and standing up to nations like China, which want nothing more than to see our nation fail. Uh, Carl is committing to passing legislation that would reinstate these tariffs. So that's most of the responses we have so far. We've got a couple whiny Democrats, a couple strong Republicans out there, and we'll see what else they come up with throughout the show. I'll keep us posted on that. President Trump held a news conference an hour ago, and he said he's going to sign an order to impose a 10% global tariff. And so I'll keep an eye out on that. When we come back, I'm going to get back into these ICE student walkouts. Do you know anybody who's participated? Have you had a kid, grandkid participate? What do you think? Give us a call. More here on Leland Live with Apryl Marie in just a minute. Well, good afternoon, everyone. April Marie here, filling in for Leland. And yes, for those of you who can't hear me because you're watching the YouTube, we're playing some Jelly Roll over here. That's what's happening. Um, there'll be country music, Jelly Roll, and some 80s rock and roll. That's the songs I picked for this afternoon. And that we've got John Bird over here dishing out. And just so we know, you're clear, in about approximately 20 minutes or so, the sugar from the pie, I brought John Bird a cup of sugar essentially to drink. That will hit him, and it will the whole show will go off the rails. That's what I'm anticipating.
Well, I'm going to do my best not to, and hopefully I don't pass out at the end of the show when my sugar high's down.
Are y'all don't record podcast on Fridays, right?
Yes.
Are you recording a podcast tonight?
I'm recording you right now.
Well, but
We don't.
I
Normally,
meant
over the line,
yes.
we normally do, but we did one last night.
Okay. Okay. Because that would have been really entertaining, sending a very hyped up John Bird to record. So it's been a minute since I brought him a drink. So I look and I have saved what his favorite drink was, but it was a seasonal one, the last one I got him. So I thought, okay, what am I going to get him? And I got him what my children love, which is a caramel frappuccino with extra caramel drizzle. And it really is a diabetes in a cup, and I'm really excited about getting that. I had a whole plan. Yesterday, Andrew walked out of the studio with his Charlie Kirk Freedom shirt on. So I had a whole plan to wear mine today. I've got two. I've got the traditional white one, and then I got a red one. I wore it, and as I was getting ready to come to the studio, I was eating my lunch and dropped food all over it. So we had a wardrobe change, but I was going to try to twinsy Andrew because I just thought that would be pretty funny. All right. As we are looking at what's going on around the state and around the country, this Trump releasing the files, the alien files, okay? I have so many thoughts about this. First off, I really hope they do a better job with the releasing any UFO alien related files than they did the Epstein files, because that was a hot holy mess. Took forever. They redacted things. Why in the earth did they do that? They left things unredacted they were supposed to redact. So I'm really hoping that this gives us some answers, and then we end up as a nation spending Lord knows how much time on actual alien files. But I'm thoroughly entertained by this. I'm thoroughly entertained by Trump's answer yesterday in response to Obama spilling the beans that there could be life from another planet that has been here. It's a whole thing. You actually can't make this up. Like, you look at what's happening in the news and in the news cycle. If you were a conspiracy theorist and you were like, okay, here's what's happened in the last week. Let's see. Well, we still have Nancy Guthrie missing. So we have a very famous, beloved newscaster's mother who was kidnapped, and we've had just bizarro. That investigation has been, in my opinion, fumbled from go. Like, that's one of those where you're like, the local sheriff did what? They sent the DNA where? They took long to do this. They didn't find these gloves. They didn't do whatever. You're like, what's happening here? So that's almost like what's distracting our attention. You've got the Epstein files. And I've said this all week. I'll say it again. When you're looking at the Epstein files as a whole, what you're going to see is and I want you, just so y'all know, I'm not one of those people that's like, we got to release it. Not because I don't think there's value in it, but because I was worried that we'd have, tens of thousands of Americans pouring through these pages trying to figure things out. And quite frankly, I want people's time used in a better way. I would rather you, if you are against human trafficking, to realize it's happening in this state. As a matter of fact, when the World Games was coming, there was an investigation, and it said the corridor from on down I-20 from Atlanta over is a really human traffic heavy area. And so rather than digging through the Epstein files like the rest of the world, I would much rather people who are sitting in Alabama with time on their hands actually go out and volunteer for organizations like Jared Hudson's organization or other organizations that are out there identifying the signs of human trafficking, training people to know, warning of the dangers of our, especially our youth and our kids, the dangers of online activity that leads to them being trafficked. All of the things that you can do that is actionable beyond just getting into these emails. Because what we've seen in these emails, there are multiple types of emails, right? There's a very limited amount of emails that have to do with Epstein's illegal activity, immoral sexual activity. Then there's a ton of emails that are just his personal emails, his musings. We have draft emails that make no sense. He was just like writing fiction to himself and saving it into his folder. By the way, and I think about that all the time because I had my own radio show for 2.5 years, and I would find stories at night and I would save them in the drafts. So if somebody went through my emails, God forbid, like years ago, my drafts would have made absolutely no sense. And that's what you end up with is Epstein has all of these insane draft emails that people are trying to read between the lines and guess, or things that are absolutely completely crazy fiction. So we've seen that, but we have seen some actual fallout from the emails. Of course, the most like people thought, oh, okay, there's a Bill Gates email here. That's pretty damning. There were some assumptions made about this email here. There's been denials about things in the email. But of course, the biggest kind of, domino effect of this is Prince Andrew's arrest this week. And that's related to him leaking economic development information that was classified. And so he had access to this information, just like elected officials and dignitaries and people on boards and commissions in the United States have it. And he leaked that, and that's what he's in trouble for. So in this week in review, we've got everything with Nancy Guthrie's moms. We got more coming out with the Epstein files, including this Andrew. Now a SCOTUS decision, and all of the stuff with ICE still percolating out there, and then aliens. You can't make this up. And then it's like, oh wait, we do have evidence, or we do have files, or all the things, and Trump's like, well, maybe I'll declassify him to help Obama out. So, he didn't talk about classified information. This is what's next. I just want y'all to prepare yourself for the media and then the people who have been all about the aliens for a long time. It's like the chemtrail. How many listeners do we have that are following the chemtrail stuff and the Epstein files? Like any niche group out there, the next thing that is going to dominate our media cycle is going to be aliens. And you're like, and what is this all distracting us from? Because this is distracting us from things that are happening in real life, right? The more time we spend talking about aliens and Epstein files that are absolute dead ends, the less time we're talking about what's happening in our country day to day that we can solve, right? And that's the time, and this brings me back to what you guys will hear me talk about a lot, is the stuff right here in our state. Maybe who is elected the chairman of the Republican Party does nothing for you. You could give two cares about it. But I'm telling you, you should. I'm telling you that anywhere there's power and influence, if you have an ability to weigh in on that, whether it's voting in the next election cycle or whether it's showing up to Republican club meetings and getting involved, you should do that. Because with power comes corruption and comes all of the things that we've seen with. In the state of Alabama, when I moved here, and I don't know where we are in the rankings now, but when I moved here, we were the one of the most corrupt states in the nation. Now, if I'm the establishment Republican Party here in Alabama, you're looking at Tommy Tuberville coming in, and you're thinking everything we've had, the grip of power we've had, because Kay Ivey, you might love her as a person. Policy-wise, she's been great for big business. She's been great for the BCA crew. She's been terrible for those of us who want red meat stuff like DeSantis and Trump are doing. Occasionally, we'll get thrown a bone. I talk about school choice a lot. That's probably, to me, the best thing she's been a part of. And by be a part of, I mean she didn't get in the way when there were deals cut behind back in smoky rooms. Speaking of the influence of the chairman of the party, John Wall has said that he was part of making the deal. I'm trying not to cough over here. He's part of making the deal with the AEA, the teachers unions, so that we could get school choice. So all of these things are going to distract us. Aliens, Epstein, wall to wall coverage of Nancy Guthrie, or ICE protest. But what we need to be paying attention to is what's happening right here in our state. Okay, I'm going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll continue on in the headlines of the day. I'll take phone calls 205-545-9950. Back in a second. Well, good afternoon, everyone. April Marie here, filling in for Leland. My last day here. He's coming back. You guys get your Leland back. I'll keep keep nagging the others to take a vacation so I can come back with you. We've got the phone lines open. I have the YouTube open as well. If you want to message me on that, I am answering them. And then, of course, you can find me on X at APRYLMARIE. I don't have access to the text line. John Bird's got it open, and so if there's anything crazy, he'll tell me what you said. Michael on the line. Let's see what Michael's calling in about. How's it going, Michael?
Hey, April Marie. Nice to accept my call. I appreciate it. I hadn't been listening, so y'all may have already discussed this, but it wasn't until like 2 days ago when it all started being all over the internet. I didn't know that Islam had their attitude about dogs. I didn't know anything about that. But have you been hearing about that?
So I did. I was actually in the original video that was put on. The woman was like that was satire, but she opened a whole can of worms with people who were like, "Wait, what is there?" And I guess there are Islamic
Well,
people that
so
take issue with pets, essentially pets. I don't know that it's dogs. I think it's all pets.
Well, I just got educated on it by Google. So I just Googled and said, does Islam hate dogs? And so first I got a lecture from Google saying that they can't answer the question if I use the word hate,
Oh my
that it's
gosh.
against the Quran. Yeah, it lectured me. But then it went on to say, and so Google it. It definitely, they say that dogs are impure in the ritual, whatever that means, that it disrupts their prayer being perfect. And that if you have a dog, uh, that you can only have a dog if it's for protection or hunting. That you can't have a dog just for the sake of having a dog. And they said that they think their saliva is nasty, and that if they lick uh, a bowl or anything, that you have to wash it 7 times and one time with soil and all this ritual stuff, and it's all against dogs. So I had 2 points to make about it. So first I thought, well, I haven't seen any of my liberal friends say anything about this, and I know they all love their pets. And then I thought, what about those people that identify as a dog? So, they're in fear.
Oh, those
But
people.
then I got to thinking, yeah, they should be in fear, but they're not saying anything because it's against Islam. But then I got to thinking seriously that there's so many Muslims that are buying apartment complexes and things, and they are going to. I already saw videos that in New York, there's sections of New York that have mostly Muslim, and that they're trying to pass to where you can't have
Well, that's
a
what
dog
started this.
out on the street.
What started all of this was one woman's social media, and then there were a number of conservative commentators, or even conservative,
Right.
like Randy Fine down in Florida, who came out. And Randy Fine got himself into a world of hurt because he wrote, "If I had to choose between Muslims and dogs." And this is paraphrasing because I didn't memorize his tweet, but it was essentially, if I had to choose between Muslims and dogs, I'd choose dogs. And people on both sides of the aisles were like, "Whoa, Randy, like that's wild." And so it has sparked this conversation. Here's what and we've had the Muslim debate has been ongoing, especially with the growing population here in Central Alabama. I think that there's a traditional, obviously and if you put in, what you're going to find is there's like a traditional sect of Muslims who don't like the dogs, except for in these circumstances, and then those who have assimilated, they're buying their kids dogs.
Right. Well, I'm just saying the radical ones, the ones that that I mean, I see over and over people on the internet, Muslims, Islam, screaming, "We hate you. We're going to get you. We're taking over you." You know, they all of that. They're proud to shout all of that. Well, now there's the subject that they hate our dogs. I just would hate to be in the city and find out someone's just trying to walk their dog in the park, and that someone, you know, abuses or hurts the dog or whatever. It's just crazy.
It's turned into, as I was talking earlier about these like kind of one-off conversations, this has turned into one of those conversations for days after the initial comment was made, and then the response to the comment, and people like yourself looking it up and finding out about it. My theory on this is that especially here in central Alabama, where we've got a growing Muslim population, and you look at a Dearborn, New York is going to be. We're going to find everyone's crazy because all of the crazy is coming out of their little hole in New York. We're going to see, and I was just looking up at Fox News, and they had some of the latest in New York. Whatever the extreme of everything is, it is now going to happen in New York first, and we're all going to get to talk about it and figure out
Oh
how it
yeah,
affects our communities. And so while
yeah,
I pity those who are trapped in New York who didn't vote for this, the rest of them, I have nothing.
right.
I find it nothing but entertaining. I'm like, this is what you got. Virginia, it's tough for me to watch Virginia with that new governor and how absolutely radical she is. But at the same time,
Wow.
people didn't get out and vote, and this is what you get if you let the absolute furthest left take over your state. By the way, that Virginia governor is doing the response to Trump's State of the Union. That's going to be really interesting to watch because she really did towards the end of her campaign try to tamp it down like she was some sort of moderate, and now she came right out of the gate just as rabid liberal as you can get. So it'll be interesting to see how Virginians respond to that. Okay. Yes, dogs, and this has been a ongoing topic on my social media accounts, especially like I said, Randy Fine is. I'm from Central Florida, so I have a lot of friends in Randy Fine's area, and I cover a lot of media or continue to follow a lot of media on what he's doing. And if you want a bomb thrower in terms of what he says, and you're like, okay, well, what is the person who is I don't want to say not offensive, who's not afraid to be offensive at times? That's Randy Fine, and he jumped into this discussion and debate right away. I will say I feel like if there were people who hated dogs and were out there, going out of their way to hurt dogs, we would know it. So I feel like this is a big internet thing that people have gotten themselves ginned up, and it will continue to get ginned up. Because hey, here's the thing: there aren't a lot of things that are bipartisan, but a love of our dogs is one of them. I will mock cat ladies all day, but you're never gonna find me mocking a dog. Just not gonna happen. All right, back in just a minute. You guys hold tight. It's April Marie filling in for Leland.